Good morning. Today is Saturday, the 31st of July, and I'm in New Orleans, out on the rooftop of the building that I'm staying in. It's my last morning in New Orleans, getting ready to head home in a few hours. I didn't post yesterday, so I thought, before I get up and do my yoga and exercise, that I would go ahead and post. I did get up this morning, said my prayers, I did some Bible study, and now I'm doing my video journal entry. Let me start with my MEPS check-in. Mentally, I am clear, nothing weighing heavily on my mind. Emotionally, I'm happy. Physically, I feel pretty strong. I still have a little bit of pain, like here, and kind of almost like going like straight through me. But it is, it's getting better each day. So I should be able to make it through today. And then spiritually, just blessed. Very much happy that I continue with my intention about, waking up and starting my day with gratitude, really focusing on positivity. It's allowed me, not to get sucked into the negativity that so many of us get sucked into each and every day. I feel like that, I don't know if I want to call it an energy, but let's just say just positivity, and that positive mindset, and that just approaching day-to-day problems, day-to-day situations with a positive mindset it's good for me, and I think it's rubbing off on some others as well. Especially the people that are closest to me, like my children. Yesterday I was talking to one of my daughters, and it's just amazing that the growth that I've seen in her. She for a long time has been she's really a delightful person, but she's very sensitive and can, her feelings can get hurt really easily. And when she's in her feelings, she gets sucked into that negativity and, being bitter and just having a hard time remaining positive. And so, when she's at her best, boy, she's doing well. She can do anything. She can conquer the world. She's smart. She's capable. She's talented. God has given her so many amazing gifts. And when she's utilizing those gifts to the best of her ability, she's just a rock star. But when she allows herself to be overcome with these negative thoughts, negativity, doubt, fear, shame, insecurity, all of those things, then she, it's like all those things weigh her down and make it very difficult for her to do the things that she's capable of doing. Makes it very difficult for her just to be the best version of herself that she can be. And we've all been impacted by those types of things. And so it's nothing, that's just unique to her. But recently she has really been focusing on having a positive mindset. She started a new business. She's really passionate about it. She is kind of putting her all into it. She's surrounded herself with some positive people that can serve as mentors. She's got a growth mindset. So she's very open to constructive criticism and anything that can help her, learn and grow and be better, and, to provide a better service or a better experience for her clients and things like that. And so that has been wonderful to watch. And it's funny because I think that she is also dealing with some disappointment in people who, she thought would be on her side and thought would be, encouraging and happy for her. But, not everybody is. Sometimes, we can see other people doing things that maybe we should be doing or we want to do. And I don't know, it's really easy for people who should love you and want to support and encourage you to do things that are the exact opposite of that. I think that sometimes we who are who can easily get caught up into negativity or have been hanging around that type of people, you are who you associate with, so if you sit up all the time, you want to be sitting up gossiping with your friends and, talking about, ooh, I don't like what she wore, or, oh, she thinks she's all that, and, those types of conversations, there's nothing positive about that. We need to be lifting each other up. And if you're continually surrounding yourself with people who don't know how to do that, who are backbiting, who are gossipers, who are, overly critical about other people's lives, you're going to become that type of person as well. I've experienced that myself. I can remember, growing up, I was just kind of this happy-go-lucky person and just always saw the best in people, and, things that people did wrong or their shortcomings or their weaknesses, I just never noticed those things, or I never, if they disappointed me, that kind of stuff didn't matter to me because I always focused on what was the good in them. But when I went to college, I met more people, and that's really when I, got surrounded by people who were kind of gossipy people, and then I found myself starting to do that, and I started, being more critical of people, and I saw, I started to become more competitive, like, oh, I need to win, and it just wasn't a good look on me, and I almost lost some friends because of that change in who I was. And so I'm glad that I've overcome that, and this being intentional about being positive and being grateful, and just appreciating the good in each and every day. Like I said, I think that you radiate that and it rubs off on people, and so I think it's rubbed off on my children as well. And my daughter was telling me about a situation that, if she had told me about it a year ago, she would have been like so frustrated and in tears and stuff like that, or just angry and wanting to lash out. And now, she kind of has the attitude of, well, I must be on the right track. If people are talking about me and they're, trying to be nitpicky about stuff, she can actually see it as, I must be doing some things right? The things that I'm doing must be, what's the word? Giving them a, oh God, I can't even think of what the phrase is, but how sometimes what the right thing is to be doing, but you're not doing it. You're not really that invested in doing the right thing to be successful and to achieve the things that you want to achieve for yourself. And you see somebody else doing those things, and instead of looking at what they're doing and being inspired by it, you're irritated about it. and instead of owning that for yourself, right, being critical to say, man, I should be doing these things and being inspired, you lash out at the other person. You don't necessarily lash out at them directly, but, being critical, saying like, oh, I don't think she really did that, or I don't think that's right, or this doesn't count, or whatever, those types of behaviors, that just comes from a negative mindset. And so in my daughter's case, she's able to separate the positive from the negative, and it's like, hey, you keep your negativity over there. I mean, my success and my achievement, the things that I'm doing well, you having anything to say about it is just an indicator that I'm doing something right, and I'm going to use whatever it is that you have to say. The fact that you're focused on me in the first place means I'm doing something right, and I'm going to continue on the right track, and I'm not going to allow myself to be distracted by whatever your problem is, whatever it is that's motivating you to look at me the way that you're looking at me. That's on you, right? I'm okay doing what I'm doing, and if you can glean something from what I'm doing, and that can help you, wonderful for you. But I'm going to stay positive, I'm going to stay committed, I'm going to stay true to the path that I'm on, right? I've set a goal for myself, and there's nothing that's going to distract me from that. So that's the mindset that my daughter has, and I'm very proud of her. I've got my other daughter, is also in business and is working, and it's been an interesting month because I remember having a conversation because she was like really upset about some stuff that was going on at work. And I said, yeah, this happened and this happened, but let's just look at the facts, right? And try to separate the emotion from it, and let's try to find something positive in it. And she's like, oh, Mom, I'm tired of you telling me, to be positive. So she kind of was poo-pooing me a little bit. And then later, as time went on, she's like, I was reading a book, or I was talking to so-and-so, and they were just telling me that you've got to be able to see, I forgot what she said it was, but, the good, the better, and the best in a situation. And it was a conversation that was like, yeah, you may experience some things that are uncomfortable for you, and you may, initially, it may not make you feel good, but you should be able to look at, where's the silver lining in this? What's the good in this? Point that out and focus on it. What's the better? Why is it good for me to have this information? How is this information, how I utilize this information, how is it going to make me better, right? And what are the type of things that I can do with this information that are going to help me to be my absolute best? And so, she was able to take that and apply it to her situation, which was a different way to say, hey, let's try to have a positive mindset. So I say a positive mindset, she says a growth mindset. And so who cares? Tomato. All that really matters is that you are not going to let negativity seep into your whatever situation that you're dealing with, and you're going to keep your eyes on the prize, and you're going to use whatever it is that comes your way to improve your situation. And so that's all that matters at the end of the day. And, for me, I personally believe in being positive about any and every situation, no matter what the situation is. If if I am driving somewhere and I get caught in a traffic jam and I'm just like sitting on the highway going 5 miles an hour for, an hour and a half, while that is somewhat painful and frustrating and not something that I would want to do, the way that I look at it as, hey, you know what? This delay in my life is probably God intentionally changing my situation, changing a situation that I would like to control, but it's like, it's not my will, it's your will, Lord. So let me trust in your plan and the path that you put me on, and let me trust the timing, and let me not try to force my way. So although I'm experiencing something that's unpleasant, God is putting me in a position to experience something wonderful, or to avoid something that's disastrous, and as long as I have life, right, which God grants me each and every day that I wake up, then that's wonderful. Right? So I need to look at things that way. All things, I'm not really a Bible quoter because I never memorize anything. I'm just the type of person that's like, what is this message, and how can I place that message on my heart, internalize it in my heart, and then live my life accordingly. So I do believe that all things come together for the good of those that believe, in the Lord. And, so who is it? So it's not for me to question. It's for me to trust that for everything that happens, there's something to learn from it. For everything that's going to happen, it's either that I'm going to learn something and it's going to benefit me directly. I'm going to learn something that I can teach to someone else and it benefits somebody else in a situation. Maybe I've gone through, some type of difficulty in my life, and I've learned a lesson a hard way, and by me learning that lesson, I can share the wisdom gleaned from that lesson with somebody else. I can think, I was just on the phone yesterday with my brother, and my brother and I have a lot in common. Like a lot in common. It's almost like we could be twins, in terms of, things that happen to me, happen to him, like health-wise and stuff like that. And so, I have had some, and not that everything is exactly the same, right? But I've had some mental health challenges in the past that were really based on, as a result of, for me, it's negativity, right? It is getting sucked up and consumed by a negative situation that I am trying to muscle through myself. And so when I don't lean on God and I try to take control of situations myself, and I put everything that I have into being the one that's going to solve this problem, overcome this situation, I put so much stress and strain on myself, that I put myself at risk for, mental health challenges. So for me, I've had, I was diagnosed with a bipolar disorder years and years ago, and it's not a chronic situation, it's an acute situation that I've had these manic episodes. And, it's like I've had to be hospitalized. The mania had turned into psychosis, and you need the medication. I needed to be hospitalized to take medication to stabilize me, so that I could get myself together and go to therapy and figure out, what's my trigger, and what are my coping skills and all that stuff. And so this has happened to me 3 times, and my cycle had been every 8 years. So, it happened once in 1997, it happened again in 2005, happened again in 2013. And so, the approach that I took was, okay, well, it happened 3 times because I didn't learn everything I was supposed to learn from it the first time or the second time, so it happened again the 3rd time. And so I don't want it to happen a 4th time, but with each time I developed strategies, right, to be able to figure out, how do I make it through this situation? How do I get myself help? How do I protect myself and others should this happen to me again? Because there's always some damage that happened. And so my brother has experienced kind of the same thing a few times, and his triggers are not the same as my triggers, and how this thing manifests in him is not the same way it manifests in me either, because those, when you experience something like that, it's unique to you, but it's also predictable. So however it is that it manifested in time 1, that's how it's going to manifest time 2 or any other time that happens to you. And so it's important to be able to know that if you know what it is that happened and what behaviors you were exhibiting, the type of things that you were doing, as it was coming on, then you can know that this is what's happening. And if you know this is what's happening, then you can figure out how to get yourself help so that you can get through it as soon as possible. Right? Because if you can't recognize there's a problem, then you can't get through it quickly. It's going to take much longer, and the longer it takes, the greater toll that it's going to take on you and the people around you. So he was having some challenges earlier in the year. And I just remember when I found out, that he was having a challenge, I thought, oh, wow, I really wished, because I started out 2021 because that's my 8-year anniversary. And I was just like, this is not happening to me again. I convinced myself, I'm like, I got the answer. I know how to prevent this from ever happening to me again. I got this. And I'm not going to be fearful of it. Instead, I'm going to be proactive, and I'm going to be intentional about making sure that I create an environment for myself that sets me up to not be taken down by this thing. And so, when I found out that my brother was having some challenges, I was like, oh man, I should have been talking to him, right? But when he's in the midst of it, I can't talk to him. And so now he's all the way through, and he's on the other side and doing very well. But I had a conversation with him yesterday, and I was just, I was happy to be able to talk to him and to be able to have a conversation, to share some things, but to do it in a way, where I'm not trying to assume that he's exactly like me, or, you need to take my advice or whatever. But I just let him know, or I asked, I was like, do you have an idea what your trigger was? And, are you Are you gonna go get, are you following up with therapy and stuff like that? Because it's really there's behavioral things that you can overcome. At least for me, because I'm like, I don't take any medication, or I mean, I take it if I need something, like if I'm in a situation to do it, to turn it around. But I'm not going to be, I don't buy into this long-term, everyday, being medicated, because these, a lot of medications, they may help one thing, but they create all kind of other problems in your body. And so, we were just talking, and I was basically saying that for me it was good to go to therapy to learn some things about myself. It was also good for me to identify who are the people in my life that I trust, because there's such a stigma associated with mental health, right? There's a lot of stuff that people just don't understand, and people who haven't been through it and just really don't have a solid understanding think, oh, if you have some mental health challenge, then that's just a sign of weakness and what you can't handle and stuff like that. And they make all these assumptions, and some people are very condescending to you, or they think that, oh, you got stressed out and this happened, so therefore you can't handle stressful situations. They can handle it, but you can't handle it, and that kind of stuff, in the past has really ticked me off, gotten on my nerves, caused me to distance myself from people, because it's not right to assume that you understand somebody else's situation. You don't walk in their shoes, and it doesn't matter what level of understanding you think you have over of somebody else's situation. It's not your situation, and everybody has to learn and grow and develop and to figure out their own journey and come to grips with whatever their own truth is. And it's important to respect that. And so, in me talking to my brother, I'm like, hey, your situation is not my situation, so I don't want to come across that way, but I would like to tell you some things that have worked, that I found that work for me, and you may be able to glean something from that. So I had shared that the whole situation, that these type of things manifest the same way each time for that individual person, so look at your situation and figure out what those things were for you, so that in the event that this ever were to happen again, pray to God that it doesn't, that you got this and it's not going to happen again. But it's important to be able to not only recognize the signs, but to understand who do you have in your circle that you love and trust, that can be objective, right? That you trust, that can recognize the signs and develop a plan right now. Like, so for me, I've got only two people in my life that I can say, hey, if you tell me I got a problem, I'm taking myself to the doctor right away, right? Because I believe that you understand me, that you know what these things are, these behaviors that I've demonstrated that have led that to it. And so if you're worried about it, I'm going to go do it. Now, doesn't mean that I won't, that I'll just ignore everybody else. And so if there's a person that I don't trust that says, hey, you're acting a little whatever, I'm concerned, blah, 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 I'm going to take them at face value. I'm not necessarily going to worry about it, but I'm going to go to the people that I trust and say, hey, so-and-so said this to me. What do you think? Should I be worried about this? Whatever, like, I think I feel fine, but whatever, and they will give me their honest opinion. And based on what they say, then that will determine what my next step is going to be. Additionally, I've got, I think I told my children a long time ago, if, you see me acting a certain way and I make you feel uncomfortable and you're really worried about this, just say the words bipolar, right? Just say those words and I will go and take myself to go get checked out. Like I'll walk myself right into a hospital and go get myself checked out, because when you have at least for me, my mental health challenge, the only struggle that I've ever had is being manic, and then that escalating to psychosis. I've never been depressed or anything like that. I don't have panic attacks and that kind of stuff. So that's really that's really the worst. So I'll go and just assume that it's right. So I've got people that I trust. I have a I guess, could that be safe words that will trigger me to go and do something. And I also know that if I do need to go get help, because if somebody is noticing, okay, you're doing this, that, and the other, then it may be too late for me to turn that situation around all by myself. And so I've also learned what it is that I need to say and do to get myself the help that I need. And so, so it's important while you are mentally clear and in your right mind to develop that plan of action so that you can get the help that you need. So, the last time that happened to me, like I said, I think it was 2013, I took myself to the hospital, and I don't think I was that bad. I think I was like ramping up, so I hadn't gotten to where it was a psychosis type of thing. It was just, I was revved up and getting manic and out, climbing. But I took myself to the hospital and I told a lie, right? And it's sad that you have to tell a lie, because I had to say, yeah, this and this is happening, and I feel like I want to hurt somebody, and if I don't get help, I'm gonna hurt somebody. Now, that wasn't true, but that got me in the door, and when it happened in 2005, and I knew something was wrong myself, and I went to the hospital, and I said, here's what's happening. I know that I'm manic, right? And I know that this thing is escalating, and I haven't been able to sleep, and I just really need you to help me. Can you please admit me? And they're like, nope. And they gave me, a sleeping pill to be able to go to sleep. And I went home, I took that thing and slept for they said it was going to knock me out for 8 hours. I took that and it knocked me out for maybe 20 minutes. And then I woke up a full-blown manic episode. And actually I probably went from on the mania to psychosis scale, I probably went from manic to psychotic, in that 20 minutes of sleeping. It was just crazy. And when you get, when you actually get yourself up to psychosis, you don't even know what you're doing. Your mind is gone. And because your mind is gone, you can't even remember what you did. You just wake up in a hospital, right? And so I had to learn the hard way the things that you actually need to do to get the system, the healthcare system, to help you. And so, I didn't share all that with my brother, but it was good to be able to have a conversation with him where I could share some strategic approaches, and he could say, thank you for sharing that. He's got his team, and he'll take that to his team, and they'll develop a plan. They'll talk about it, and they'll figure out what the plan is going to be. And so it was just nice to be able to share that, and for it to be received in a positive way. So, like I said, positivity begets positivity. So that's really good. Anyway, I have gone on and on and on, and I actually talked a whole lot longer than I had originally anticipated. Not that I really knew how long I was going to talk, because sometimes I don't really have that much to say, so it's really quick. But for anybody that's listening, I really appreciate the time that you've given me. And now I'm going to go do some yoga. See ya.